I've got here is an auger with a shaft from a smaller blower, and this auger sees to the shaft. No matter how hard you pull on it, it's not going to come off. So what you need to do is, if you have an acetylene torch, is heat the whole part that the auger is on to the shaft. So in this case, starting from here all the way down, you would have to heat that red hot. Be careful doing this. Then you'd have to pound the shaft out. I don't have an acetylene torch, but I do have some carbon arc torch. It's older technology. It's not as precise as the acetylene. I prefer acetylene. But this is what I'm going to use today to heat that red hot and then get it off. I've got the collar sitting on the sides of the vise here. It's not totally tight, just enough so I can pound the shaft through, get the auger out. Now if you try to heat it up with a propane torch, the propane flame will not be hot enough to heat this sufficiently for you to be able to remove the shaft. If you don't have any torches or anything to do this, you may want to take it to a welding shop and they can remove it for you. Now my carbon arc torch is hooked up to this welder here, and I've got it set at 90 here. And the welder cables are attached to the carbon arc torch cables, which work their way up right up to the torch. Basically the way you use this is with your thumb here. You move the two rods together like that. Sometimes you have to loosen them up top here and realign them. Now once you've got it really red hot, you can try pounding the shaft out. Now it's starting to come out. If you notice the end of the shaft is flat like that, you're going to have to ground it back around with your grinder so it can go through the auger. So I've grounded the end of the shaft here, and I'm going to have to reheat it again to get it out of here. So once the shaft starts to go down the auger, I'm just going to use a smaller shaft to pound it down through the auger here. So here it is. Now here's the shaft. I've let it cool down, obviously. Now this is the side that the auger was jammed on, and you can see what does that is the rust. Sometimes water gets in there and it sits there over time or for many years, especially if you've got your machine outside, and then the rust fuses both parts together. Now you could also use the same principle to remove jammed snowblower wheels. The only thing in doing this is you may end up wrecking your tire, but it's a lot cheaper to replace a tire than to break the drive shaft. I've seen people force the wheels to get them off when the shaft is seized to the wheel and the drive shaft is broken. You could also let it sit for a couple weeks with penetrating oil if you don't have heating instruments, and then try to get it out that way. But usually you need to heat it up. So remember, you need really hot flame to get this apart. Acetylene is good, or the old carbon arc torches like I use, but that's old technology. If you don't have any of these tools, you can bring it to a welding shop and get them to heat it up for you and remove it. If you pound too hard or force things too much without heating it, you could end up breaking the shaft. Always remember, when metal's hot, it will separate easier, and if you do this, be careful. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.